Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lorenzo, your host of the Leaders What podcast. Today, I believe this is episode 229 or 230. Wow. I have another great guest that I met here in person this past Sunday. Today is Thursday, so 4 days ago, at an impromptu meetup between friends. We met. This gentleman was sitting beside me. We started talking, and I realized he has a fascinating story, path, and background. So I said, you know what? I need to bring you on the podcast, my friend. So here he is. His name is Diogo. He's from the beautiful country of Portugal.
Thank you.
You're welcome, from the beautiful city of Lisbon. And wow, his path is very interesting. We're going to talk about that. But basically, he studied, he did his first degree in industrial design in Portugal, and then he did a master's in motion graphics, special effect in Glasgow, Scotland. He worked in design, video, and all that good stuff. He worked in as a multidisciplinary creative design, branding, new business, exhibition design, and all that stuff. And then while working in Portugal, he was doing good things, but opportunities were limited, budgets were low. But that's not a bad thing, because that allowed him to work even more creatively, more outside the box, and find more creative solutions and help his clients in different ways, which is an invaluable skill in business to maximize the resources we have. So, and through that, then in 2008-9, when there was this the financial crisis, he started looking for opportunities elsewhere. He found, long story short, he found life took him to another direction, which was into education in Asia and an emerging market in Kuala Lumpur. He started working there for an international company and all that. And then now he's been doing something even, and that transition to something even more exciting. And this is why I am bringing him here, because this is something that I want to learn about. You guys all want to learn about. He's been working for YouTube and the trust and safety legal department, analyzing legal complaints and analyzing contents, and especially if there's a content that infringes and the law and either locally or internationally. He's part of the team that either takes down content or escalates it to for further investigation. So a lot of things we can learn about YouTube. I'm gonna invite him another time to do a talk just on that. But for now, we're gonna be talking about all of his past. So, anyways, we can talk a lot about. He's got an incredible CV and achievements and all, but we're not here to talk about his CV. We're gonna talk here to get to know him as a person. So, Diogo, brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Lorenzo.
Very welcome. Pleasure's all mine.
That's it. Yes, I was born 74. It was the year where we had a big revolution, or allegedly a big revolution in my country, that put end to the longest dictatorship in Europe under
Wow.
Salazar,
Mm.
and put back democracy after 48 years of dictatorship. So I was born in that year. I was born in that specific month, just 17 days before.
So you're a child of freedom. You know, you brought freedom to Portugal in a way. You know, that's good.
It's more lucky. I didn't brought anything. It was just a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
So what to know about me? I'm the youngest of four. Majority of my, so it was two girls and then two guys, two boys, and they were all born in Mozambique, because my parents, my family, they were living in Mozambique, Beira. And then they started to have the revolution there. Their own in Mozambique. They started their own revolutionary process about in the late 60s. So my family decided to come back before things get too hot. They decided to come back in 1970, back to the capital, Lisbon. Then their revolution, they only happened 4 years later, but they were already feeling that things were not going in a good direction. So that was a good thing. And then in 74, I was born. So they were the first three sons. They were born. They are Africans, and the last one, which is me, the black sheep, was born in the camp.
Wonderful.
So that's it. A happy family of four, middle I would say, middle upper class. We were educated as simple people now, just Christians. My father, he worked for Caterpillar, which is a brand of machinery. My mother, she did like more like journalist. She was a writer, journalist. She would write content for magazines and newspapers. And we are pretty much a very regular middle upper class family. You know, everybody started to work their own way. Um, we would have jobs during summer. S- um, we would spend in the 80s we would spend wonderful holidays in three different places. Not anymore. But pretty much a regular middle class education and upbringing. So
Wonderful.
basically, it's my background.
All right,
And
we're gonna talk about that in a moment. But first, I want and basically answered my first question without me asking you, which was, who is Diogo as a person? So you answered that wonderfully. Now I'd like to ask you a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know you. Ready?
Sure.
All right. What makes you happy as a person?
Companionship.
Beautiful. What makes you smile?
Smile.
Mm-hmm.
Good humor.
Yeah, yeah.
I would say good energy.
Oh, yeah. Like that.
Good energy. Good energy makes you smile. You don't need to talk.
Absolutely. Now let's take the happiness factor a couple of notches higher. What makes your soul come alive? What sets your heart on fire in a good, positive way?
Mm, a good cause,
Mm.
or a good project whose relevance is close to a good cause.
And what's a cause that is dear to your heart?
Well, yes, yes. So let's say a project that is related with sustainability, where I see that it's authentic, true sustainability, where you can save material, you can save energy, and it's really smart. That would light up my heart, because
Beautiful.
then I would be involved in authentic change.
Beautiful, beautiful. I will connect you. Speaking of that, I will connect you with a good friend of mine here. He's from France. He's been working for a few years. I mean, quite a few years in oil and gas, but now he's transitioning into the sustainability, green energy, and all that. I will connect you to him. You guys
Sure.
should talk. So, anyway, we'll do that after. Now, we talked about happiness. Now, let's talk about what makes you sad and angry.
By default, frustration,
Mm-hmm.
or repeated frustration. Mm, of course, about you have the real sad things of life,
Mm-hmm.
the drama, but in a more normal way, I would say that repeated frustration, trying to set up some things right, and when they don't work out, that would give me some sadness and depression. Yes.
Yes, agreed. What scares you?
What scares me?
And snakes.
The instability of the future, or too much instability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think recently, with all this sequence of things that affected us all, I think it's here to stay. I think it makes part of our new existence now. We
Sure.
have to deal with that big monster of instability, volatility, and you don't know where people are going to be in 3 months, and neither do you know where the consumer's mind is going to be in
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks. We need to live with that. I think it's for us for here to go through it.
How do you cope with that? Do you have any tips for that?
I think we are coping by doing what we are doing, uh, and what you are doing specifically, which is to connect deeper and further with people, to ask them basically what's going on. And sometimes you get that question answered by just observing people like you, what you are doing, the changes you are generating what others said of you and then what you said of someone else. So this sense of community, digital community, is very important, regardless if there's gains. I mean, financial gains, there's always this gain. So we feel this necessity of connecting, and you are doing it beautifully by being this podcaster, because it's the only way that we get to know what is going on and what should I do from here to the next 3, 4 weeks or 2 months. And then if I see things are changing, then we just go with the flow. There's no other way.
Absolutely. I agree with you. What would you say is your number one personal superpower?
Superpower, I think I'm very organized.
Oh, yes, that's important.
I was OCD before there was the OCD term, or
Mhm.
at least they were brought back. I was always very organized, very step by step. Eventually slightly slow in certain processes, but very thorough, so very complete. Step
Beautiful.
number one, things are only done when they are from A to Z. If you stop at X, I will get pissed because it's just one step away of being complete and it's not.
I agree. All right, that's wonderful. Now, what is the one thing that you used to value that you don't value anymore? Whether it's
No, that's
quality, a trait, a habit, whatever it may be.
oh, man, I don't know. Oh well, you start to be more realistic, less
Mhm.
less an ideologist, but
Mhm.
I think basically expectation about people being polite and minimally polite and good. I don't have that expectation anymore.
Mhm.
So now I just dodge that. Just
Mhm.
like the Bruce Lee thing, be water. If the person is not, not going to be affected by it. And
Mhm.
then your process, being yourself, being the best that you can, but at least don't rely so much on expectations. So expectations are usually um, frustration, disillusion. It's not going to work out. If it's not working out, it is not your business. Continue doing it,
Agreed.
basically. But I mean, it's not easy. Sometimes in certain days it's more difficult than others because I think we just wake up in different moods,
Mhm.
and eventually you get yourself being a little bit of a hypocrite. Or I used to be to think this, but today I cannot make it. Um, Somebody pisses you off,
Mhm.
and disorganizes your puzzle. But usually it should be it's something that I would value very much: education, politeness, good manners,
Oh, yes.
both personal and professionally. I offer you something, the person said at least thank you. No, I don't think like that anymore. People are what they are. They are
Mhm.
the product of their own education. You are not, you are not. We keep moving, smiling, and be happy.
I agree. I agree.
And we're
Now,
not going to change. So
yeah,
people are not going to change. So
yeah, that's true. Similar to that now, what is the one thing that you didn't value before that you're now valuing more and more? The other side of the coin.
I'd say a little bit also what we did before, how we met. I mean, human connection.
Mhm.
But let me put it this way. My parents always told me that you should make connections and get to know people. And I think the thumb of rule was wrong. Yes, the secret is there, but I think the rule of thumb is you should discover the fun of getting to know people, even if you think at first impression that they are not interesting.
Oh, yes.
So this was something that I learned when I started lecturing here, because the lectures, for you to lecture, the lessons have to be fun.
Oh,
If
yes.
they are not fun, it's not necessarily a bad lesson, but it's for sure not a good lesson.
Mhm.
If you give a lesson or a lecture on some type of subject where you see that your students are not looking to the clock, instead they stay even later, they don't go for the break, you got them, at least on that topic. It happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
I would say 50% of the time,
Yeah.
and it should be even more, but also depends on your syllabus. The same way applies to getting to know people. So I had this ghost hunting my mind. Get to know people because they are an assets. No, 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 no. Even if you have no gains, you should discover by yourself the fun or the interesting part of discovering the other. Because, and especially the people who, not especially the people that you hate. I hate that, the hate term, but the people that you apparently find, oh, it's not worthwhile. What should I gain by knowing these people? It's just another John Doe. You know, you can eventually start to think like that. No, because then when you start to meet them, you discover there is no John Doe's. The person is the product of their own
Mm-hmm.
path, and you can always learn, relearn, and share, and especially if you are honest and sincere. And even if you feel that the other person is somehow taking advantage of you or could be taking advantage of you in the future, no, this person is just listening to me to get to know me, to see how just continue your path. Because if they are like that, there must be a reason, then you can also learn from it.
Absolutely.
I took a small course once about a technical course about corporate relationships, and they told me, oh, if you want to simplify your formula how to relate with people, you have 4 types of personality. You have active, passive, assertive, and manipulative. Say, okay, I'll try to apply that into reality. Then you start to study something else, and then they say, oh, no, start to study Dale Carnegie, and oh, no, there's 12 types of personality. Then you get very confused. So which one is it, 4 or 12? And what should I do? The more I search and study, the more confused I get.
Yeah.
So maybe you have to start to be your own artisan and
Mm.
put your own model. What makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and just use a little bit of what you get to know about people.
Absolutely.
Introvert, extrovert, but don't classify them as positive or negative immediately. Just try to learn with people what they try, the
Mm-hmm.
way they are, and just try to learn as much as you can with everyone.
Sure. And what type of person would you say you are?
Well, naturally, I think I am an introvert.
Mhm.
I can surely pass many minutes and hours without talking to people if I know what to do. But for instance, for the creative side, I love brainstorming. And for that, I need people, and the craziest, the better.
Mhm. Yeah.
As for the executional parts, I could be, so I would say I'm an introvert. I am helplessly nostalgic. I love sunset. So when I'm in the beach looking at the sunset, I stop listening. I get fascinated by the sunset, not the sunrise, the sunset.
Why? Why not the sunrise?
Uh, I
You're not a
have
morning
no idea.
person.
This is very much deep in my nature, a very nostalgic person.
Okay.
Get to know very deep feelings when I start to see old albums of photos. I
Mm,
almost start to cry. Oh my God, this happened, this happened, this happened. It
yeah.
was wonderful. Like in those times, it were just normal moments, but now I see that it's wonderful. It was like another life, another planet. So I am nostalgic in that sense. As for as a problem solver, because I'm a designer, I'm very analytical. I like to know the client. I like, of course, to talk with clients. I really appreciate when they are open, when they start to open up a little bit of the rug in terms of what are the problems of their companies, their projects, so that we can design, as designers, how we can understand exactly what they are in need of. Very analytical. I like to do a debrief, which is an interpretation of what I understood, and then give it back to the client to see if he approves. Is this what you're really talking about? Is this what we have to search for? Are these the objectives? Yes, yes, approve. And then we start the process of design, which is a wonderful process. By the way, you don't need to be trained in design to be a designer. I've seen wonderful people having wonderful thoughts as designers, and they don't have the degree, right? So it's
Wow.
just a thought, a wonderful thought of being a problem solver, being analytical, and providing that solution within a certain budget. I'm
Yeah.
just sorry, I'm just into my cats.
No
Just to
worries.
control. My cats are not doing something foolish or too foolish.
No
And
worries. Character more charm.
that's it. That's as
Yeah.
a designer, I think I'm slightly different. I'm more extrovert. I like method because method gives me reliability. I like meetings, but not too much. When they start to be really boring, like repeating information that you already know or patronizing you, even meetings with the necessary coffee and the necessary snacks, I find them really annoying. I like meetings which are straight to the point where it's really necessary to be there, to respect everybody's time. So I'm not really a marketeer. A marketeer is more the type of being an extrovert, being always talkative, uh, self-promoting, talking by the sake of talking because it's necessary, but I'm not. I'm more the design type. Get to know my brief, get to know my client's necessities, analyze it, put it on paper, go for it until the next meeting for some feedback. And then finally push it to the final outcome.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, let's move on. Let's talk about, you love traveling, right?
Yes.
Now, let me take you down a different type of travels, down memory line. Go back to when you were a kid growing up. You know, when we're kids, people around us, family, parents, teachers, friends, relatives always ask us, so Diogo, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer as a young boy when you were, say, 5, 6, 7 years old to that question?
Oh, the cliche. I wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh, not a football player?
Yes, because I would look to the sky and they would tell me, oh, the sky is infinite and then the universe is infinite. So there's all this space. Oh, then I want to be there
Nice,
to check.
beautiful.
So there was an astronaut. Then when that died, I think I wanted to be fireman.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, it was architect.
You know,
And
fireman
then,
is something that most boys want to do. That's, yes.
yeah, the hero that saves the day, right? Saves
Yeah,
the house, saves the girl, saves the cat, saves everything.
absolutely. Now, growing up, what was your relationship with school? Did you love school or did you hate school?
Depends on the subjects. I always had a bad relationship with mathematics. That came from the primary school
Was
because
it big?
they gave me very bad foundation of mathematics, very spooky, very punishable. So even from the primary school up until high school, before college, I had bad relationship with mathematics, but it's beautiful and absolutely necessary.
Sure.
So my favorite subjects were history, geography, social sciences, philosophy, and I would love to, if the teachers would do a debate on class, half the class against the other, based on a subject of opinion, then I would love it.
We're the same. We're the same. I was exactly didn't like math, but I love the geography, history, social science, and all that. Awesome. Now,
I still dream of making a TV program where
hey,
where the people invited can only answer yes or no.
you know, now with the technical skills that you have, working for YouTube, knowing how the algorithm works, you're in the best position to make that happen, you know?
Yes.
All right. Now, what would you say? What was your very first job? And if you remember, how much were you making in your first job?
You mean professional job or part-time job?
When you first got paid doing a job when you were, say, in
Hmm.
school. Ever. High school, whatever.
Okay, I think my first job was to place products in the shelves of supermarkets. I was working for a sort of these temporary work companies, and they have other clients, so they hire youngsters to arrange to compose the products in the supermarkets. So we
Mhm.
have to make a tour, and then you go. We would do that.
Mhm.
Not very well paid, but it was okay.
Yeah.
Um, I distributed some leaflets on red lights when the cars would stop, promoting whatever was in the leaflets. I worked for a lawyer's. Later, I worked for a lawyer's company. These were all summer jobs, right? So this
Yeah.
was 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I would go and submit paperwork into the courts and to other places. So basically, the things were sealed, and you have to go to a place, you have to submit it, and you have to get this thing chopped and signed by the person who receives the documentation. And then I would go out. Courts are not really nice places in Portugal. I mean, they are the construction still that period of the dictatorship that I told you about before. Everything is massive, made of marble. You get lost. It's a small country, but the thing is huge. You get lost. And then there's not many people working in there. And you have to look. It's never normal. You see, it says reception, but the reception is not there. It's over there. And then the sign that says third court is the fourth is a little bit messy, okay? Or it was. It's not anymore, but it was. So I would have to run all these places to submit paperwork or to uplift paperwork and bring it back to that. That was more fun
Yeah.
because I was out of office, I was in the street, getting buses, getting taxis. You would feel slightly more important because you are working for lawyers. So that was another job. And another job that I did was to promote people how to recycle. So we would hang around in a team dressed up as safari people, tour along all the coast beaches in Portugal in the north with this big truck explaining the necessity of recycling, separating your garbage, plastic, metal, organic, blah blah blah. Then they would have some training, would train some people, and then we would dance and so forth. I always had summer jobs. And
Mhm.
there were only 2 summers where I did nothing. And the rest I've been always busy with those types of jobs, simple things.
Wonderful. Yeah, me too. My very first job was distributing flyers for a pizza shop in Canada and in the winter. It's snowing, like 1 meter of snow all day long,
Wow.
and getting paid only $5 an hour. I lasted maybe 2 days before I said, you know what, that's not for me. Screw that. Bye bye.
Your hands. What about your hands? Did they,
Oh, we
did they
had to have
become
no, we had to have gloves, otherwise you would be,
okay?
freeze that. Okay. Yeah. So now let's move forward from the time that you left school to now. How would you describe your path? Would you say your path was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing once you're into one lane? You were set for life, or was it more like turns and twists, like a roller coaster up and down?
I always wanted the first, but it ended up by being the second. Very accidental.
Yeah.
Um, very accidental, full of twists.
Mm. Mm.
And I also had some twists which were my fault.
Mm.
Things, not so positive relationships that I built up with my employers that ended up by non-continuing that job.
Mm.
Some lack of maturity, some lack of many things that I should have had in those times and I didn't. So some professional relationships could be more lasting. They were not
Yeah.
because I was learning as well how to develop myself and so forth. And but yeah, twists, lots of twists. And then even if you are in a solid company back in Portugal, as I told you, everything is very low budget.
Mhm.
You read the books, but never things never run out as you see in the books. It's always more accidental, more improv. You have to improv something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the country also gives you that ability to be very flexible, having to adjust. We have a term for it in Portugal. It's called desenrascar. Is your ability to provide solution whatever harsh the conditions are. And then, of course, having living abroad, this is my second time. Yes, what a roller coaster, man.
Beautiful. Yeah. And to be honest, even though roller coasters at times might not be fun, they're much more interesting than one long, dull, boring line, even though it might be safe. Anyways, there's a saying.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
it's
sorry.
interesting now. Late in my latest years now, I've been following a Brazilian philosopher called Olavo de Carvalho.
Mm-hmm.
He passed 2 years ago, and my life has changed since I started following his YouTube channel.
Mm.
For instance, for this issue of instability, insecurity, and this was a man who was raised 40 years ago or 50 years ago. He says, don't look for security, don't look for the comfort zone, because life is not going to give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you, you're not going to have it. Seek strength to face those things, whatever that strength is. If you are a believer, pray. If you are not a believer, you can search for whatever option in other people, in books, in seminars, in coaching, but do not expect safety, because it has arrived here to stay. Instability and security, it's here to stay. So look for the strength to face it. Because if you are expecting safety or to recover the safety or the comfort that you had before, you're going to suffer.
Absolutely.
So this was among many of the things that he's trying to teach. We can talk about this guy, just one podcast just to talk about this guy.
Okay.
But he's an amazing person, and the things that he says, actually, they stay in your mind, and at least they stay in my mind, and they actually shake. And something tells me this is truthful. This is truth. What this guy is telling me is truth, and this is not BS.
What's this guy's name again? I'm going to write it down and look it up.
Olavo de Carvalho. Olavo is Olavo.
Yeah.
Then there has a possessive pronoun de, which is
Yeah.
de, of. Carvalho is Carvalho. Carvalho. Carvalho is the name of a tree as well.
Name of what?
Carvalho is the name of a tree, it means oak.
Oh, okay.
It can also be the surname of someone.
Okay. I'll definitely look it up. Now.
And then, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I will look it up. There is you talked about ups and downs. So now, speaking of that, there is a saying that says, change your story, change your life. And by story, I mean what we tell ourselves in our head all day long. So when you, Diogo, you were at some of your lowest point in your life, how did you change your story internally to change your life externally? Did you do it to the help of friends, books, videos, mentors? Tell us the process you used to change your life, to change your story, to change your life, or bring it back to where you want it to be.
To be honest, I don't have so much experience or success stories there. Usually I listen to older people, more experience. So I have my partner, I have different friends, different ages, Mauricio, I ask people's opinion, and then I make the average out of it, or I try to make the average out of everything. Search for my family. I still have some family support. And I asked them, what would you do? I have this situation, I have this impasse, what would you do? And which can be a hard thing, because many times you end up with a 50-50 thing, where you connect with 7 people and then 3 say go, and then 4 say no, which ends up like more or less in a 50-50 situation, which leaves you in the impasse that you were before. It's no solution. Right now I'm passing through a phase like that. for a certain topic, and I think I'll just have to make my own mind and think alone. So when this happens, is life telling you you are by yourself, and it's supposed for you to be by yourself.
Yep.
If you seek help, it's no help. So you are by yourself.
You know,
I don't know, isolate yourself with a little bit of whiskey and a cigarette. I don't know. Go to the beach, walk, and then promise when you come back, you have taken a decision, and whatever it is, it is.
one thing I found out and I saw in my own eyes, in my own life, in life of other people that I know, society tells us to seek guidance elsewhere. That can help, yes, because some people might be more qualified, more experienced, but ultimately, the ultimate wisdom comes from within. Especially when we have those hunches, those gut feelings. Sometimes you hear a voice. Sometimes you have like almost like a realization. Oh, it becomes you see a vision that clearly shows you the path in your mind, and those happen when you're least expecting. Let's say you're cooking, you're taking a shower, you're
Oh
driving,
yeah.
walking, you're talking with friends about business, whatever, and then you get an idea. When we get those, listen to those, because those are coming from your soul, and our soul has two main purposes: one, to protect you and keep you safe and alive, and two, to guide you to the next stage. So some of the best ideas, for example, for me, starting my podcast, I was having dinner with family one night, absolutely completely disconnected from business, and I had an idea. Hey, start a podcast. And now
Oh
podcast is
really?
my life. Yes.
Wow.
Most of the book that I published, again, idea came while I was going for a walk. So whenever you get, those hunches, those gut feelings, those thoughts in your mind, listen.
How long did, okay.
Go ahead,
How
sorry.
long did it took you to write your book?
The book provided myself, I published it. So my book is basically a collection of some of the most empowering, inspiring, goosebump-inducing stories from the first 2 years and over 200 podcast episodes, 200 episodes from my podcast. So I just
Okay.
compilation of the best stories from my podcast. Basically, I invited these people to come back and share the story in a book. But again, the idea came when I was just not even thinking about business. Sometimes just disconnect, surrender to the universe, guide me towards what's best for my higher interest. Just do something completely unrelated, different, whatever it is, whether you like playing tennis, golf, go take a shower, a swim, smoke, whatever it is. Do something, cook a nice meal, whatever you want, something just for yourself to enjoy, even take a nap. And then just wait, you will get those as divine, you call it divine inspiration, whatever you want to call it, your soul getting in touch with you.
To be honest, I didn't have many of those, but I understand what you're talking about, and it's very nice. I mean, when you are telling me those stories, I'm making the movie.
Oh wow, hey,
I'm
okay,
making the movie. I'm making a movie in my head, and it's beautiful. They were
absolutely.
so nice.
Now, let's move forward. Let's talk about what you're doing now. Tell us about what you're doing now, how you got into it, and all the good stuff about it.
You mean my current job?
Yes, your current job, what you're
Well,
doing.
unfortunately, I cannot advance you many details because of a certain contract that I have.
Yeah, sure.
It's called NDA, so there are no details. Um, it's not really that interesting because we just put content down. It's not policy, right? Because YouTube has policy, which is the rules that you accept when you subscribe and you submit.
Mm-hmm.
And there's legal, which is our department, which is different.
Mm.
Um, at the end of the day, we just put content down or not, and the majority of the topics, they are toxic because we deal with defamation, copyright, trademark, which is people saying badly about people, people copying the products and the identities of people. So it's a little bit toxic. It's not really an interesting thing. I'm doing it more to know the structure, the background of the platform,
Mm-hmm.
and get to be closer to many types of content. So I'm there because I speak Portuguese and we deal mostly with the Brazilian market. because Portuguese in Portugal, we are just 10 million living inside, and then another 10 million throughout the world. But if you go to Brazil, it's 220 people, 220 million.
Yes.
So they are 10 times more than us. And they have their own version of Portuguese, which is the Brazilian Portuguese.
Oh,
That's
yes.
the difference.
Oh, yes.
But for these effects of the language, I speak both versions very comfortably. But getting to know how the variety of content that you can see in a huge country, and this is a country that is as big as the United States, you have rodeo there. You have songs, you have types of music that look like fado, and you have all these people publishing content. It's very interesting what is going on. So I'm basically there by that effect to be a good watcher of all this variety of content happening. Of course, and I am updated with whatever is hype, the Joe Rogans and the all those podcasters, of course. And now with the shorts version, which is trying to compete with TikTok, which meanwhile is in many types of trouble in many types of country for different types of reason.
Oh, yes.
So in Scandinavia, countries that are now studying the effects of especially young kids watching these videos in a row without pause, and if that is affecting the brain or not, and if it is, what are the consequences for them, and of course for the families.
Yeah.
Other countries which are not as sophisticated as the Scandinavians, they are just paying attention to, but my son or my daughter, they are spending so much time on TikTok. They are not analyzing if TikTok is doing bad or good, but the time that they are spending with. Even some countries, even the teachers, they already gave up. We gave up. They are always in the computer. They're always in the device. Maybe we should lecture them through the platforms, and the problem is us. So you can watch many types of approaches to the VOD, video on demand platforms. I would like to see BitChute and Dailymotion more active. Unfortunately, they are not.
Why is that?
Yes, it might has to do with the quality of the servers, the speed of the stream combined with because I mean you also need to be lucky. I mean YouTube was the first one, and they had a combination of very good things.
Yes.
The appearance, the speed of the streaming all get together at the same time. They started to gain traction. Now for BitChute to gain some sort of market or Dailymotion or whatever, imagine what the things that you have to go through.
Sure.
Pardon me. It's really hard for them. But I would like to have, I think it would be healthy for us in terms of VOD to have a more competition.
Absolutely.
Not just TikTok. To spread attention. I think it would be a positive thing. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think what we're going to watch is big saturation as well of content. Will survive what stuff that you are doing, personal, intimate, personal, customizable, not customizable, custom made, more human, what you're trying to do, instead of going into a formula of traction. Oh, let's just do this because it brings more views and gets more subscribers. No. This is real talking, real people that happens to be on YouTube, which is what you're doing.
Yeah, if we look at the progression of video entertainment back in the 80s and early 90s, there was only like maybe 5 to 10 TV station channels available in most countries. And then in the mid 90s, you had the explosion of cable TV where everybody had access to say 500, 1,000 channels. Now YouTube, and now you have all these creators, these contents, but also you have shorts, not only on YouTube, on TikTok, but also Instagram. So how do you see that? What's the next wave that's going to come and take this even to the next level? That's going to make even YouTube and the shorts not a thing of the past, but is gonna get it, leave it behind and get something. You know what I mean? If you look at the progression from the mid '80s and to now, in that way.
Well, everything points to be the multiverse and the metaverse.
Yes. Maybe
But
virtual
we
reality.
grow. Yes, but the problem is not what you're going to do, is how you're going to share it. Because the people who go, let me consider myself isolated, like if I am the only user of these things in the world. If I go into whatever experience into the multiverse or metaverse, if it's a flop, it's a flop. I forget about it. But if it's something meaningful to me or very good, I would like to share it with my peers, even with the unknown world. So the way that we are going to share content has to change as well. How are we going to do it? I don't know. It still needs to be defined. So for now, we just share links. The links go to the content. The way that you're going to share with others what you've been through, what you've done. So what have you done last night on the multiverse? You tell me. You need to share that with me or with your closest 10 peers. How are you going to share it in order for me to go and recap what you've been through? Because if you consider the experiences isolated, or people go to the metaverse and they have done this, but they don't share, it's never going to happen because it's not human. It's not human because even today you go to the cinema to watch a movie and it's never the same. People say, oh, why you go? Why you can watch at home, Netflix? No, it's not the same experience. So since cinema was invented by the Lumiere brothers, which is also discussable, but at least as a social experiment, they were the first ones to gather people to watch a movie, a film. That thing, a new thing was born, which was cinema, which is not just the technology of recording a sequence of frames, is that you are next to other people, even though you are not talking with them, but you are communicating with them. How much? 90%. Because now they say communication, 90% is your body, your appearance, the way you talk. Blah, 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 blah. So I can stay with you. We don't say a word. We are communicating intensively. How much? They say about 80 to 90%. We are there. We know what's going on and we know what's going to happen because we are just there, experience the same experience, you and me. And I think that's going to eventually increase. We don't need to talk because we are aware. We don't need to say things because it has been already said. Has been already said. Because we are there, we are automatically aware. We just might expel some comments, expel some comments, confirmations, acceptations, but the experience is there. That's why I think the React movies, they have gained traction, is because people are curious to confirm that their experience is the experience of the reactor. Got it?
Yes.
Or to see people from different generations reacting to something that it's old or relatively old. How would you react to Frank Sinatra singing this?
Oh, yeah.
You see a 50-year-old and then you see a 12-year-old. The 50-year-old is a confirmation, but the 12-year-old is fun for me. But if you put a 12-year-old watching these two videos of a 50-year-old reacting to Frank Sinatra and the 12-year-old reacting to Frank Sinatra, different points of view.
Totally.
But anyway, it's all about the sharing. It's inevitable. And I think the future, to answer to your question, the future is we have to sophisticate the way that we are going to share. Putting a link to something, I don't think it's going to saturate. It's going to saturate. So I don't know what's going to happen in terms of the sharing. For now, we have to see. I hope it's not too much isolated. People don't get too much isolated because it can be very dangerous. The metaverse, you can stay there. The new generations, they prefer to be there rather than on reality per se. So basically, I hope that and also I hope we have people like you doing aware that it might not become very human, and we are counterbalancing it with something. So I have a YouTube podcast, I have a book, I connect with people one by one. Suddenly we are 10, suddenly we are 15, 20, and we are sort of balancing a stream where things go down the way, very machinery, very matrix. I am connected by. I hope that happens. It has to happen.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, for someone like someone wants to either already as content creator on YouTube, or someone would like to get started from the perspective of an insider, what would be the number one piece of advice you would give to them to make sure that they succeed and not get shut down before they even start?
Well, I'm going to give the advice that I'll give to me because I have a channel, but it's not my own content. I mean, my work, but it's not really self-made content. Another thing that I learned is, I mean, chasing the money is a mistake. You should chase your passion.
Absolutely.
And then if there's money there, luck to you. If there's no money there, be happy. For YouTube channels, it's the same. Actually, I'm trying to help a guy now. He's a guitar player. He's living in Thailand. He doesn't know how to start. You should not expect many views and subscribers. Don't do it for the views. Don't do it for the subscribers. Put the content there as the proudest thing that you are going to accomplish. I'm going to make this video. I'm a guitar player. I'm going to teach people how to play this famous Deep Purple riff. And it's going to be so well done, even though I don't have any views, no subscribers, it's going to be just perfect. It's going to be perfect for me. And then you just go with the flow, you improve, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, improve. I have, maybe I move too much. Maybe I have to improve this. And then you analyze, and then you also have your camera, your sound, how can I improve? So you go and you talk with other YouTubers, how you've done that, how you've done this. Start improving, reposting, you can even repost the same video. And you start to create a brand, not necessarily a commercial brand, but visually you have a persona there, which is the reflection of you on a VOD platform, which happens to be YouTube. Then you start to see there's a lot of things to do. You have your thumbnails, you have your titles, your descriptions. Can you put some interesting links? If you were your own spectator, watcher, what would you like to see there? And that's basically it. But you also have to be disciplined. So I'm going to do this video. It's not going to last forever. I'm going to assign 4 hours to make this video. After that, it doesn't matter. Even if it's a failure, I close it, I publish it. Or I just unlist it. It's in my channel, but it's not in public. Then I'm going to do a second one. Then I'm going to do a third one. And basically, that's it, what you have to do.
Awesome.
You have to continue. I would design if you know nothing, I would design a program for 3 months. I'm going to try to post on YouTube to see if I have some positive return, even for myself. So I'm going to publish 1 video per week or 1 video per every 15 days. And you write down an alignment, a program for yourself, a video about this and this, so that you have an orientation and discipline as well. Got it?
Makes sense.
You need to have a program, even if it's the most silly thing, even if it's on the go selfie. You look to your city. I'm going to make 6 videos. One is going to be in the city center. The other one is next to the port. The other one is next to this church, and the other one is next to this mosque. And the other one is going to be underground, and I'm going to tell a joke. Okay? But at least you have some consistency. You have a formula. Something is going on there. You have a brand.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Right? Then of course, you have to follow whatever you want to do. So you are now focused on the human connection with leaders. This guy that I know, he's a guitar player. He's trying to teach people how to play guitar. Eric Johnson riffs. He doesn't like the technical part of it. The guy just sits down with a guitar and he's an amazing guy. But he doesn't like the technical part of it. And he doesn't know. So I'm trying to help him on that part. It's not about, so in his case, it's not because I know that he's boring. I'm trying to convince him to discover that it might be fun so that the tech boring thing is not an issue anymore.
Yeah.
Got it? So that he can solve his own technical problems in the future.
Absolutely.
Then some examples. Then we can talk about how to avoid copyright strikes, VID claim, CID claims, and so forth. Some design, what software to use, blah blah blah.
Awesome. We can talk about that another time. That's fine. That's awesome. Thank you. Great feedback. Let's wrap this up. And to finish, I'd like to ask you a series of rapid fire questions on advices. Ready?
Wow.
All right. So
Sure.
what would you say has been so far the best piece of advice you received in your life?
Believe in yourself and be happy.
Beautiful. What would you say has been so far the worst piece of advice you received so far?
Everything is hard work.
Mm-hmm. If you were to sit face to face now, if you had a time machine and sit face to face with an 18-year-old Diogo, what's the number one piece of advice you would give to him, knowing all that you know now?
Don't be afraid. No, I would say don't be afraid. I would not use don't. Wow, that's a good question. Go and discover the others.
Beautiful. Do you have your own podcast?
No.
What's the number one reason why you haven't started your podcast yet?
Laziness plus lack of self-motivation, I think.
All right. Now, imagine that you had a successful podcast today, and today you're interviewing the most special person in the world, which is yourself. So you're interviewing yourself. What's the first question you want to ask yourself that comes to your mind?
What? Sorry?
What's the first question, the number one question that you want to ask yourself, the first question that comes to your mind?
Who the hell are you? I don't know. I have no idea. That's very gutty. I have no idea, man. You have to tell me. I have to meditate on that.
Yeah, no worries. Now, the last question I ask is my favorite question to ask my guest. And that is, what is the smallest thing you've done that has had the greatest positive and deepest, most profound impact on both your life and business? And by small, I don't mean something small. I mean the one thing. For example, for me, has been starting my podcast. What about you, Diogo?
I would say, I think I accepted the challenge of teaching, and I ended up very well because I had no idea that I could teach. I was never wanted to be a teacher. I didn't have that passion, but actually, when I do it, I'm good.
Beautiful. If someone wants
accepting that challenge, would you like to come to my class and start teaching?
Awesome. If someone wants to get in touch with you and connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
I have all the media that everybody does: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Instagram, I don't really publish that much. In my email, of course, my phone.
All right, I'll put all of that in the show notes. You send that to me after. I'll put it in the show notes. So listen, Diogo, absolute pleasure. Blast talking to you. Wonderful story. We can do more, and we'll do more next time on actual, YouTube masterclass and all that. But listen, I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world with your presence, the impact, with everything you're doing. Stay safe, stay awesome. God bless you, my friend. Take care. Bye bye.
Lorenzo, thank you myself. What you're doing is uncommon, is very necessary to humanize these avalanche. It's a big avalanche, technological avalanche. People always talking about technological change, adapt to new business, adapting. And it's a little bit of a crazy frenzy, and nobody's talking about what you're doing, which is the human side of it, which is much more important. And I congratulate you for your initiative.
Thank you.
Whatever I can help you with. And thank you very much for having me, because I was never interviewed in a podcast before. I showed up on TV very quickly, but it was not as extensive as this one. Thank you myself. Obrigado.
Prazer.
Obrigado, cara.
De nada,
Prazer.
Meu, cara. Até logo. Talk to you soon,
Até
brother.
logo, my friend.
Ciao.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.